Hello everyone, this is Seth from the Mast Knife Shop. Today we have a very special brand we're going to go over. Local to the knife shop. It's called Primitive Woodsman, made by Josh Morgan. Handmade, all his stuff is great. And this particular one is the BC Bushcrafter. And in my opinion, this is the ultimate bushcrafter. It is like the textbook example of a bushcrafter. So stick around and I'll show you all the key points on why this is perfect. So first let's go over the box. As usual, nice box. And then as always you have the Hellbender skeleton. A pretty large salamander, known to these parts of the Appalachian Mountains, and one of Josh's favorite animals. He's very into nature, outdoors. All his boxes will pretty much have that salamander. You got a handmade sheath, which we'll go over in a little while, but you can see how it sits down low in the sheath. Easy to, it will not fall out, easy to get out. You also have your Woodsman wax. That's imperative to the steel. It's a very high carbon, can rust and patina, so that's important for the sheath, the handle, the blade, obviously. You got all your specifications, even Josh Morgan's autograph right there, or signature. Hang on to that, might be worth something. Primitive Woodsman sticker. I love stickers. So that is all the stuff you get in the box. So now let's go over the knife itself, the most important part. And this is the BC Bushcrafter, and that stands for Buffalo Cove. It's actually a camp near Lenore, North Carolina, and it's for like youth wilderness education, for outdoor camping and survival, mostly for the youth but also for adults. And it's a collaboration with Nathan Rourke and Josh Morgan, of course. So that's why he made this, for survival, camping, hunting, education, stuff like that. So first let's talk about the specs on the knife. You have a drop point blade with a true Scandi Grind. That is the most important part, I think, for a bushcrafter. That acts like a wedge when you're batoning. You can kind of see the Scandi. What it does is it comes right to a point. There's no secondary bevel. And that is what you see on most bushcrafters. And like I said, you can baton with it, skin, chop. It's not quite as smooth cutting as like a full flat grind on some knives for like kitchen knives, but this can do everything, but especially chop. And you can use that wide backspace there to baton. You have plenty of beef there to hit. And while we're up here, you see that little mark right there on the edge? That is so we know this knife will make a spark. Josh tests all his knives for tempering, make sure it's got a proper temper. So when you strike that against a ferro rod, it will make a spark. And so all of his knives will have that, especially on the BC Bushcraft. Cool little point. Next point is you got a good finger guard right there. You're not going to slip up on it. That's important. I don't want to go slicing off my finger because that would definitely do it. You have a bow drill divot in the handle. That's important. Everyone hopefully knows what a bow drill is, but if you want to hold down the end of the bow drill and go back and forth, that will save your hand from a lot of damage. I will point out that they also comes in rubber, but the rubber does not have the bow drill divot option, only because it's too, it would deteriorate too fast with that much friction. But the canvas micarta, like this one does, the green micarta. Let's go down to the end. You have an extended pommel for breaking, crushing, whatever you got to do. I love that option. That's definitely a true bushcrafter style. Crush whatever you got to do, break it. So very important. And you can see how thick the overall knife is. So you've got plenty of meat there. But it's only about 6.5 ounces, depending on the handle. That's actually pretty light. You'd expect it to be a little heavier. So it's easy to carry around, not weigh your pack down. And we'll get to the specs on it, but the steel is 80 CRV2, and that's a high carbon, great outdoor bushcrafting steel. And we'll get to that specs in a second. Now I think we've covered most of the knife itself. It does have a black oxide finish on the upper part, which protects it from corrosion, water, stuff like that, blood, whatever you're doing with it. But obviously the Scandi Grind part is exposed, so you will need definitely use the wax we talked about in the box. Now let's talk about the sheath real fast. This goes in, like I said, it sits low, and the sheaths are handmade by Josh as well. You can see all the little specks in the leather right there. He does that with crushed up deer antlers. He steps all over it, and that's what gives it the little dimples. And he's used the same antlers for about 10 years, he said. So pretty cool little tidbit there. And as I showed you, we got the rubber version. It's identical, except this one has more of a stonewash finish. It's got the same 2 lanyard holes there for tied around your hand, or whatever, if you just want to do a lanyard attachment. So it's just the ultimate bushcraft. And I pointed out the main key 4 points. Like I said, the Scandi Grind, the extended pommel, let me get the right one, the bow drill divot, and the ferro rod. It is tempered properly to get a spark off the ferro rod. And remember, if you want to see the specs and pricing and links to purchase, they're in the description below. And now we can get on to the length and weight and stuff like that. So your overall length is about 8.75 inches, typical of a bushcrafter. Your blade length is right at 4 inches. And I mentioned the weight is only about 6.5 to 7 ounces depending on which handle you choose. So it's actually very light. And I've actually brought something to compare it to. A lot of people know the name ESEE. This is the ESEE 4, and you can see size-wise, I'll set it down for you. size-wise, they're pretty much identical in length. The reason I would choose the BC Bushcrafter over it, nothing wrong with ESEE, but this one doesn't have the bow drill divot and it does not have the Scandi Grind. So this blade is a little more usable for like kitchen use or setting up camp cutting. It's got a full flat grind, but I still like that true Scandi Grind for chopping, batoning. They're about the same thickness. They both have the extended pommel. So I like the ESEE, but I'm going to go with Josh's anyways because I know Josh is a great guy. And this retails for $3.50 in the knife shop. Again, you can get it in the black rubber or the green micarta. It's just a great knife, handmade locally, about 15 minutes from the knife shop. And we all know Josh in the knife shop, and he's just a great person. So I appreciate y'all watching. I think that'll wrap it up for the BC Bushcrafter. And before you go, please hit the like button and be sure to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any new content. And as always, hit that bell so you're going to know when we post a new video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.